Okay, we'll continue. Now, decision making using marginal cost decisions. Okay, here what we are doing is we are applying the principles of marginal costing and CVP analysis to real time situations or real business situations to enable decision making based on such analysis. Okay, that is what we are doing in this decision making. Now, whenever you take any business decision, you can classify such decisions into two categories. One is short term decisions. Okay, the other is long term decisions. Long term decisions. I will give you an example for short term decision and long term decision. Example. What do you mean by short term decision and long term decision? Suppose you are starting a company, let us say ABC Limited. Okay. The activity of this company is to manufacture a product called P. Okay. Now I am giving you the details of this particular product and its cost structure for manufacturing. Okay, I'm saying that the material cost will be, let us say, rupees 10 per unit. Okay, then labor cost, let us say it is 5 per unit. Then variable overhead rupees 3 per unit. So total variable cost per unit is working out to 18 per unit. Okay, now in addition to this, there is fixed cost or fixed overhead to the extent of 10 lakhs per annum. This is the given cost structure. Now, you are required to compute the price to be charged. For P. That is the requirement. It is the decision to be taken. What is the decision? Decision is to fix the price. Okay, so basically it is a pricing decision. Okay, now what will you do normally when you if you are asked to price the fix the price for product P? What will you do? You will have to estimate what would be the expected sales for the particular year. Am I right? Okay, so you will expect that the the expected number of sales for, I'm taking 2020, it is 1 lakh units. Okay, and you have invested 15 lakhs into the business, and this fund has a cost of capital of, let us say, 10%. You have borrowed this fund, so it has got a cost of 10 rupee, or if you had invested this amount somewhere, you would have got a return of 10%. Let me make it to be 12%, reasonable. 12%. Okay, that is the cost of capital. This is the information what you are having. So if you are asked to fix the price for this particular product, what will you do? First, you have to ascertain how much return you require on your investment. That is what yesterday we saw in the ROC, return on capital employed mode of pricing. Okay, you have invested how much? Investment is 15 lakhs. Okay, so you require a required return of, already you have a cost of 12%. Okay, so if you need to get a return, you need to get a return above 12%. And what you are doing is a business. It is not as safe as a putting FD or what you say, putting in a bond or whatever. It is a business. So the risk is very, very, very high. And in strategic financial management, you might have learned that there is an inverse relationship between the risk and return. Am I right? Sorry, there is a direct relationship between the risk and return. If the risk is high, the expected return also will be high. If risk is low, the expected return should be low. So here the company is a business entity. So the investment is a high risk investment. Okay, so the expected return also will be high. So naturally, the required return will be, let us say, 24%. That is double the cost of capital. I am having a cost of capital of 12%, but I need minimum 24% on my investment because I am taking huge risk. Okay, so that is equal to 15 lakh into 24%. Okay, what will be the amount? 15 lakh into 24% will be 3,60,000. 3,60,000 is the required return. Okay, now what I have to do? That is the profit I am looking for. Am I right? Now I need to earn this much profit. So what should be my pricing for the products? That is what I need to compute. So desired profit. Assume that there are no tax impacts and all. So desired profit is 3,60,000. Now what should I do? Add the fixed cost. What is the fixed cost? Fixed cost is 10 lakh. Okay. So what is the desired contribution? 13,60,000. Am I right? 13,60,000. What is the budgeted activity? 1 lakh. Budgeted activity is 1 lakh units. Therefore, desired contribution per unit will be how much? 13,60,000 divided by 1 lakh. That will be rupees 13.60 per unit. Am I right? I require a contribution of 13.60 per unit. Okay. And what is my variable cost per unit? It is 18. So in order to get a contribution of 13.60, desired contribution per unit is 13.60. Add variable cost per unit. Variable cost per unit was 18. Okay, so desired selling price per unit is 18 plus 13.6, that is 31 point. Okay, so you are fixing the price of your product to be 32 rupees per unit. Okay, is it clear? This is how you fix the price, selling price for your product. You are getting 32 rupees. Now, somebody is asking you some justification why you have quoted a rate of 32. Somebody is asking you, see, what you are incurring in fixed cost is 10 lakhs rupees. Okay, that also you have charged to the price. Am I right? Okay, you have charged this 10 lakhs fixed cost also into the price. So somebody is asking you, see, I am giving you an order of 100 units. Okay, and for manufacturing that 100 units, you are requiring or you are incurring only a variable cost of 18 rupees. Am I right? You are incurring a variable cost of 18 rupees alone. Now, can't you sell me the same product at 20 rupees? Why do you charge 32 rupees? Why do you charge 32 rupees? So can't you price your product at 20 rupees per unit? Is it possible? No, it is not possible. Why? Because this pricing is for an year. We are going to use this price for a year. So it is a long-term decision. Okay, for that particular year, you are incurring what also? Fixed cost also. So from the contribution you are earning from the number of units you are selling, you should be able to recover the fixed cost also. Am I right? So you need to recover each and every cost. You can't avoid any fixed cost from the pricing. Is it clear? So the point to be taken home is whenever you price a particular product, you have to consider the entire cost. The entire cost, whether it is fixed cost or variable cost or any other cost. Is it clear? In other words, I can tell you, in case of long-term decisions, total costs including fixed cost, comma, past cost. What do you mean by past cost? I will explain you later. Past cost, comma, sunk cost, comma, historical cost. No, you make it as historical cost, committed cost. Okay, total cost including fixed cost, past cost, sunk cost, committed cost. Okay, now let me go one step ahead. Okay, out of this fixed cost, what you have computed, 10 lakhs rupees. Out of this, rupees 2 lakhs represents the fee paid to a consultant. Okay, fee paid to a consultant. Okay, from whom you have obtained a feasibility study report. Okay, feasibility study report. That means you had appointed a consultant for doing some feasibility study in the market study or whatever, and he has given you a report. Okay, that was given some 3 or 4 months back. Okay, and that is done. You paid a fees of 2 lakhs rupees. Okay, now let us say this is all calculations for 1 year only. Okay, so you have paid 2 lakhs rupees to that particular customer, that consultant. Now that 2 lakhs also you are considering as a fixed cost here. Now the same old customer who bargained with you, he is asking you, see, you have assumed, okay, I agree that you need to recover your entire fixed cost. Okay, you need to recover your fixed cost. Now this 10 lakhs includes a cost which you have already incurred. You incurred some 6 months back. Now why do you charge that cost which you incurred 6 months back to the products you are going to sell to me in the coming months? See, got the logic? You have already incurred certain cost earlier. You are saying that it is for doing some market research, project development, whatever be the course, you have incurred 2 lakhs rupees in the past. It is not a cost which you are going to incur in future. Now you are going to produce the product only now. So when you price the goods which you are going to produce now, why should you take a cost which you have already incurred in future? So why don't you eliminate that 2 lakhs from this 10 lakhs? Is it possible? No, it is not possible. It is not possible. Why it is not possible? Because that cost you have incurred. Why did you incur that cost? That cost was incurred for making this sale. Even though the sales you are making in future and the cost was already incurred, which you cannot reverse, whatever be the case, we call such cost as sunk cost. Okay, sunk cost or past costs are those costs which has already been incurred in the past and which we cannot reverse. Okay, even though it is a past cost or sunk cost, this cost has to be considered while pricing your product, because you need to recover that cost also. Why did you incur that cost? For doing a market research or market study for this particular product. So unless you recover that cost also, you will not make any profits. So you are telling your customer, see man, I'm not going to exclude that cost also, because I have included that cost, because I have incurred that cost for this particular product. So if I have incurred the cost for this particular product, I should recover that also. So I have considered that also. Is it clear? So whenever you are taking any long-term decisions, such decisions should be based on total cost including fixed cost, past cost, sunk cost, committed cost, whatever cost you say, you can imagine of your particular product. That decision should be based on that only. You cannot eliminate any cost, because if you eliminate any cost which you have already incurred or which you are going to incur, okay, then there is a chance that you may make under recovery of your cost and you may end up in losses. So the long-term decisions, while taking long-term decisions, you should be considering both past cost, okay, and future cost, and all such past cost and future cost has to be considered. In other words, I will say that all such costs will become a relevant cost for long-term decisions. Is it clear? Please write a note. It's a very crucial concept. Note. While taking long-term decisions, an entity should consider all types of past as well as future cost incurred or to be incurred for the decision being analyzed. For the, not decision, I will make it as proposal. For the proposal being analyzed. Okay. Such cost should also include past cost, sunk cost, historical cost. Okay, all these terminologies, past cost, sunk cost and historical cost, are used to refer those costs which has already been incurred. Okay, historical cost, apportion cost. Head office is the head office is apportioning head office cost to your entity. You should recover that also. Apportion cost. Then committed cost, etc. Okay. In other words, while taking long-term business decisions, all such cost will become relevant cost. Is it clear? If you are taking a long-term decision, then all the costs which you can imagine of related with the proposal you are evaluating, all such costs will become a relevant cost and you should consider that cost. Okay, right. Now I am going one step further. Okay, now we have this examples, right? So we have found out that the normal price to be fixed for this particular product will be how much? The normal price is 32. You have fixed this price as 32. Okay, now what's happening? So in the market we have declared selling price per unit is equal to rupees 32 per unit. You have a well accepted calculation for that. There is no problem. There is no issue with that calculation. Now what is happening? You just started that particular business in 2020, or you have done this calculation for 2020. Now in 2020, suddenly what came? COVID came. Okay, it is a sudden issue. Okay, and consequent to that, what happened? There was lockdown. There was lockdown. Lockdown for how many months? Lockdown for, let us say, 3 months. Okay, and it is expected that for these 3 months there is going to be complete business disruption. Okay, complete business disruption. Your demand is going to come down, then employees are not able to come, lot of issues going to come. Now your cash flow is also going to be affected badly. You are expecting that you will be able to sell 1 lakh units in this year, but if you want to sell this 1 lakh units right now in this COVID, it is very difficult. Okay, this 1 lakh is for how many months? 12 months, which means for 3 months you will have to sell how much? 3 months, 1 quarter. So 1 lakh divided by 4 will be 25,000. So for this 3 months you were supposed to sell, sale target was 25,000 units. Okay, if you want to sell this 25,000 units, you can't sell at this 32 rupees. If you price your product at 32, nobody is ready to buy because the demand is very bad, market is very dull, it is locked down, so many issues. So it is an extraordinary situation. It's an extraordinary situation. As a businessman, you are supposed to relook at your pricing decision also. Okay, you called up your marketing manager, you called up your production manager, everybody came. The production manager, the marketing manager said, see, sir, your target was 25,000 units per quarter. But considering this COVID situation, if you want to achieve that target of 25,000 units, okay, you need to reduce the selling price from 32 rupees to 20 rupees. Wow. Okay, or he is saying that from 32 rupees, you have to reduce it to, okay, let us take it 20 rupees. 20 rupees. Okay, that is the idea given by the marketing manager. Okay, now it is a situation which is going to affect your entity only for 3 months. So rather it is a short-term decision only. Okay, so the proposal is whether to reduce this cost for that particular period or the selling price only for that particular period. It is not for the entire year. If it is for the entire year, then you have to rethink. You have to rethink whether you need to shut down the business or not. That is another thing. Okay, but it is only for a short term, 3 months period you are trying to somehow manage. Okay, whether it is feasible, that is what you are going to see. Okay, when you take such a short term decision, what you need to do is you need to do a relevant cost analysis. Okay, why a relevant cost analysis? Because when you do a short term decision, what you need to check is whether your incremental revenue is able to match the incremental cost. Okay, whether your incremental revenue is able to match your incremental cost. Now I will give you an example. You have something called fixed cost here. Am I right? 10 lakhs per annum is your fixed cost. That is for one particular year. And that comes to per quarter, what will be the cost? 10 lakhs divided by 4 will be 2,50,000. 2,50,000 per quarter is your fixed overhead cost. Okay. Out of that, 2 lakhs is already incurred. Am I right? So out of 10 lakhs, 2 lakhs is already incurred. So if you exclude that, 10 lakhs minus 2 lakhs will be 8 lakhs. 8 lakh divided by 4, that is 2 lakh is the only fixed cost which you need to incur for that particular quarter. Now, this 2 lakh includes rent. This 2 lakh includes salary to your administrative staff. Okay, then this 2 lakhs includes lot of other cost which you cannot avoid. Whether it is lockdown or whatever, you need to pay the rent. So whether you reduce your price to 20 rupee or whether you increase your price to 32, whatever you do, that rent has to be paid. It is a committed cost. Then what about the 2 lakh rupees which you have already paid to the consultant? It is already paid. It is already paid. Whether or not you take any decision right now, that is going to come your P&L. Am I right? So it is a past cost already incurred. You can't reverse it. You can't reverse it. Is it clear? Are you following? So there are certain costs which has been already been incurred, which is not changed, which cannot be changed on one side. Second side, there are certain costs which you need to incur. It's a future cost, but it is a committed cost. You have to incur it anyway. Irrespective of your decision, such cost has to be incurred. Rent has to be paid. There is administrative staff. The salary has to be paid. So out of this 2 lakh rupees, which you are going to incur, you have to pay entire amount, irrespective of whether you reduce the selling price or not. Maybe if you stop the production, you will be able to save some cost, but you are not thinking about reducing your shutting down your operation. You are just thinking out whether you should reduce your selling price to 20 or not. So for that particular thing, whether you reduce to 20 or you retain at 32, entire 2 lakhs rupees or 2,50,000 rupees that you are going to incur as fixed overhead. Which means, as far as this proposal to reduce the selling price from 32 to 20 is concerned, the entire fixed overhead is an irrelevant cost. Why it is irrelevant? Because whether or not you reduce your selling price, this is not going to change. Is it clear? Is it clear? So the feature 1, it is a short-term decision. If it is a short-term decision only, you can do such an analysis. If it is a short-term decision which is not going to affect your long-term decisions, okay, then you can do a relevant cost analysis. How you do a relevant cost analysis? You take the cost one by one and you see whether it is a relevant cost or not. Now in this case, the fixed cost includes some cost which is already incurred in the past, which you call as past cost or sunk cost. Okay, now any past cost or sunk cost is not a relevant cost. Why it is not a relevant cost? It is already incurred. Whether you take a decision to reduce the selling price or not, that is not going to change. Is it clear? Is it clear? That is point number 1. That is point number 1. Now point number 2, future cost. Fixed overheads you are going to incur. Rent is to be paid in the quarter. Okay, but that is a committed cost. If it is a committed cost, what is the feature of that committed cost? Whether or not you reduce your selling price to 32 or 20, that cost is not going to change. Is it clear? That cost is not going to change. So such future costs which are not going to change with respect to the alternative you are analyzing, or between the alternatives you are analyzing, it is not a relevant cost. Is it clear? Is it clear? And for any such short-term decisions, you need not consider such irrelevant cost or such costs which are not relevant cost. Is it clear? So what you will do here, you are eliminating this 10 lakhs entirely. Okay, now what is left out? What is left out is only this variable cost. If you want to sell this 25,000 units in these 3 months, you have to manufacture it. You have to manufacture it. For manufacturing, anyway, you will incur this 18 rupee. Am I right? So is it not a relevant cost? Yes, it is a relevant cost. It is a relevant cost. But what happens? Your production manager or material manager, he came and told you, sir, this material cost of rupees 10, there is a small problem. What is the problem? What is the problem? This material cost includes a particular material called material X, okay, which is already purchased. When did you purchase? We purchased last month. Okay, it is already been purchased. Why did you purchase? For manufacturing for this quarter. Now, if you don't use that particular X for this particular product, it may be some chemical. It may be some chemical, okay, which is already purchased. The amount has been paid. Now you cannot reverse that purchase. If it is not used for this particular product, you will have to dispose it off entirely. Wow. Is it clear? Even the variable cost you have to take one by one and see if it is a relevant cost. So similarly, when you do that, the material cost, material X, which is a variable cost, okay, but it was already purchased and it is kept in your stock. If you don't use it for this production, you will have to dispose it off. It doesn't have any other alternate value. It may be some chemical or anything. And what, so you are asking what is the cost of this material X included in this 10 rupee? He says that it is 3 rupees. So out of 10, 3 is what? 3 is the material X cost which you have already purchased. If you are not using this for this particular production, then you have to dispose it off. So that cost is also an irrelevant cost. Why irrelevant cost? It is already purchased. Am I right? It is already purchased. It is available in the stock. So if you don't use it for this production, then the only way out is to dispose it off without getting anything as income. So that 3 rupee, that will be incurred irrespective of whether you produce or not. So that is not relevant. So out again 10 lakhs is gone. Then out of 18 lakhs, how much is gone? 3 rupee is gone. Then your labor manager is coming. He has estimated what labor cost is estimated. Now he is saying, sir, out of this labor cost of 5, okay, 1 rupee per unit represents what? The labor cost of committed laborers. Who is this committed laborer? Committed laborer means the laborers whose appointment has been permanent, who has been appointed as permanent laborers. So if they are appointed as permanent laborers, what is the problem? Their salary has to be paid mandatorily. Whether it is locked down or not, it has to be paid because it is a committed cost for the company. Okay, so whether you produce this particular product or not, you are not going to save that cost. Again, that 1 rupee is an irrelevant cost. Is it clear? So what happens? 3 from material gone, 1 from labor gone. So out of variable cost, 4 rupees gone. So what is the actual relevant cost out of this variable cost? It is only 14 rupee per unit. Is it clear? So out of 18 rupees variable cost, only 14 is actual relevant cost for this particular 3 months. Now, why do you say that it is 14 rupees is relevant? Because if you want to manufacture, you have to purchase it. Or if you don't manufacture, you are not going to incur it. Why you are taking a decision whether to manufacture or not? If you want to, if you will manufacture only if you are able to sell it. Am I right? And you will be able to sell only if the price is reduced to 20 rupees. If you don't reduce the selling price, you won't be able to sell any goods in these 3 months due to lack of demand. Okay, so you won't produce. So ultimately the question is whether to reduce the selling price from 32 to 20. If you reduce it to 20, you will manufacture 25,000 units and you will sell those 25,000 units. Is it clear? Okay, so if for taking such a decision, you are considering only the relevant cost and not the all cost. Is it clear? That is the difference between long-term decisions and short-term decisions. Please write. Short-term decisions. Short-term decisions. Okay. While taking short-term decisions, the entity will be forced to adopt a different methodology. Okay. In such scenarios, the decisions has to be taken purely based on the relevant cost analysis. Okay. In relevant cost analysis, The management will consider only such costs which are relevant for the decision being taken. Is it clear? So any short-term decisions have to be taken based on relevant cost analysis, whereas any long-term decision have to be taken based on total cost approach. Okay, that is the basic difference between short-term decisions and long-term decisions. Okay, now going further, meaning of relevant cost. Meaning of relevant cost. Okay, what is the meaning of relevant cost? Relevant cost is any cost which is relevant to a decision being taken. That is why I told you, in case of a long-term decision, all costs will be a relevant cost because all the costs are relevant in such a decision. But whereas in a short-term decision, the relevant cost becomes only those costs which changes between the alternative and are not a future past cost. Okay, which is relevant to a decision being taken. Now, next, characteristics of relevant cost. Characteristics of relevant cost. In bracket, you can write applicable for short run special cases, special decisions. Why special decisions? Why special decisions? Because short run decisions will be taken only in special situations. Okay, otherwise you want to put a price for that 3 months. Okay, if there was no COVID issue, will you go for this relevant cost analysis? No, you will still go with your total cost analysis because why? There is no uncertainty, there is no extraordinary situation, there is no special situations arising you to which forces you to apply this relevant cost approach because it is a normal quarter itself. Whatever pricing you are following for the previous quarters and you are planned for the entire full year, you can use that. Only when there is a special situation which forces you not to adopt the total cost approach, you can go for relevant cost approach. Is it clear? Okay, so it is applicable for short run special decisions. Okay, now what are the characteristics of a relevant cost? One, it should be a future cost. Okay, so as a corollary of this principle, what can you write? Any past cost is not a relevant cost. Okay, now what do you mean by past cost? Past cost is any cost which is already incurred in the past and cannot be reversed. So already incurred in the past and cannot be reversed. If you are able to reverse it, that means we have already paid the amount. But if you are not taking the decision, you will be able to get back that amount. Then that is not a past cost. It's a relevant cost. Okay, so there are two conditions. One is it's already incurred in the past. Second case, it cannot be reversed. Okay, now any cost that is not a any past cost is not a relevant cost. Also known as, you can write, also known as sunk cost or historical cost, etc. Okay, Then second characteristics of a relevant cost. Just because it is a future cost, can you call it to be a relevant cost? No. Two, it should differ between the alternatives being evaluated. So there are two alternatives, alternative 1 and alternative 2. Any future cost which remains same for both the alternatives, it is not a relevant cost. So if it has to be a relevant cost, any future cost, if it has to be a relevant cost, then this should change between the alternative. Okay. Now, as a corollary, any future cost which remain and which remains same for both the alternatives or all the alternatives evaluated is not a relevant cost. Is it clear? It is not a relevant cost. Okay. Thus, any committed cost is not a relevant cost. Is it clear? You have given a commitment. We will incur that cost. We will pay you. Whatever be the decision, we will pay you. If there is a commitment like that, then it is not a relevant cost. Is it clear? Yes. Now, going further. So, we have seen the characteristics of relevant cost. Okay. Now, the relevant cost analysis can be done for each and every type of cost components. Like there is a relevant cost analysis for material, then relevant cost analysis for labor, then overheads, fixed overheads, etc. etc. Okay. Now, notes. 1. Any cost already incurred is not a relevant cost. Therefore, cost of any materials already purchased or services already received is not a relevant cost. However, if the material has some other alternative use or is capable of being sold as such, then the gain from such alternatives will be a relevant opportunity cost. Okay, I will explain you what is this. Okay. Okay. Now, that is with respect to the materials. If you have already purchased any materials, okay, any cost you have already paid for that is not a relevant cost. Okay, but if that material has some alternate use, like it can be, if it is not used for a particular job, if it can be used for some other job, then the gain which you may get from that particular job will be a relevant gain for you, and it will be an opportunity gain or opportunity cost of using that particular material for this work. I will explain that in detail later. Okay, now that is for materials. Now coming to labor. Labor, any committed, sorry, any cost payable to permanent laborers or staffs is not generally a relevant cost. Why it is not a relevant cost? Because they are permanent employees or permanent laborers. You will have to make the payment whatever be your decision. Okay, so it is not a relevant cost. You can write in bracket, it is a committed cost. Okay, however, if the same laborer can be deployed in some other jobs, okay, some other jobs yielding profit, then such profit lost will be an opportunity cost. You have a labor which is a permanent labor. Okay, I will give you an example of a CA office. Okay, you are computing the cost of doing a particular order, relevant cost of relevant cost of doing a particular audit. Okay, now to execute that audit, you require the services of a chartered accountant, who is your employee. That chartered accountant is chartered accountant is a permanent staff. Okay, so you are paying, let us say, 1 lakh rupees per month to that particular chartered accountant. Now, as far as you are concerned, you are computing the relevant cost of this particular order or audit. Okay, now for which you require the service of that permanent chartered accountant. Now, the salary to that permanent chartered accountant you have to pay irrespective of whether you undertake this particular audit or not, because he is a permanent laborer. So, the salary payable to that laborer is a committed cost and it is not relevant. On the other hand, suppose if you can't use the service of, if you are not accepting this particular audit, then that chartered accountant will be free. You can use his work or her work or her time for another audit, and that audit can be done only if this particular chartered accountant is free. Just assume, okay, you need the service of the chartered accountant for doing that particular job. That means if you are accepting this audit which you are evaluating now, then you can't use this chartered accountant for the other audit, due to which that audit, whatever gain you are going to get from that particular audit, will become an opportunity cost of executing this audit. Is it clear? Are you following? Okay, so any opportunity cost of any permanent labor will be an opportunity cost for executing this particular order. Other than that, any salary payable or cost payable to a permanent labor is only a committed cost, which is not a relevant cost. Okay, next. 3. Fixed overheads are not generally a relevant cost as it is a committed cost. As it is a committed cost. 4. Any apportion cost is not a relevant cost as it will be incurred irrespective of whether the proposal evaluated is accepted. Okay, you are a branch. There is another head office. Head office has so many administrative costs. Every year, what the head office will do, they will find out their total cost, total overheads or administrative cost, and which will be apportioned to the branches. Okay, so you will also, your branch will also get a share of that. Now, what you will do generally, you will take this apportion cost of your head office expenses as a cost item for your pricing of your products in case of long-term decisions. But when it comes to short-term decisions, when you compute the relevant cost, such apportion cost is not a relevant cost because on one side it is incurred by someone else, and that apportionment will happen whether or not you accept this particular contract. Is it clear? So it is not a relevant cost. Now, 5. Any historical cost of a fixed asset in bracket already purchased is not relevant. Why it is not relevant? Because it is a historical cost only. Okay, past cost. Now 6. What about depreciation? Depreciation is the amortized portion of a past cost. It is an amortized portion of a past cost. Hence, it is not relevant. Next, 7. Any write-off or write-back of costs are not relevant as it is only an accounting entry. See, you had incurred certain costs earlier. Now you are going to write it off. Okay, is it a relevant cost? No, it is not a relevant cost because you have already incurred. And what the write-off is only a accounting entry. It is not going to affect your decision whether you accept this proposal or not. You are going to write it off either this year or next year. So it is not a relevant cost. Is it clear? Okay, these are the general points which you need to keep in mind. Okay, usually if it was a normal class, then I will take each item by item and I will show you a graph of what is relevant, what is irrelevant and all, which is there in the material which I have shared. Okay, you can go through that. If you take that 6 point C, you will find this relevant cost in detail. Opportunity cost. Yeah, relevant cost. If you see, we have taken it one by one. Decision making, then when to use relevant costing. Yeah, component wise analysis of relevant cost, nature of cost, one by one we have taken. It is there in the material. Then relevance of material cost. Material cost, each component is taken and we are analyzing it whether it is relevant or not. This was required in your previous syllabus because it was used to be a big chapter even. But once it comes to your new syllabus, one side it is having only 15 marks weightage. I mean, this entire section has got only 15 marks weightage. And not only that, we don't have time to explain it this one by one. So I will restrict the discussion to the material alone. Okay. So you can go through that. Now, you can write one heading, concept of opportunity cost. Concept of opportunity cost. What do you mean by opportunity cost? Opportunity cost, it is the cost of an opportunity foregone. Cost of an opportunity foregone. What do you mean by cost of an opportunity foregone? Cost of an opportunity foregone is nothing but the gain or benefit that would have received if the alternative foregone was accepted or executed. You had an alternative which you are foregoing. Why you are foregoing? Because you want to select some other options. Okay, there is a proposal at your hand. For executing this proposal at your hand, you need to forego some other options, some other alternative. That alternative would have given you some gain. Am I right? That alternative would have given you some gain, which you would have realized only if you had not taken the proposal which you are taking now. So the cost of executing this order or this proposal includes what? The opportunity cost that you foregone by not doing the other work. Okay, I will give you an example. Let's take the case of CA firm itself. Okay, you got an audit. Let us say audit P. Okay, for which you want to compute the relevant cost. Same example which we saw earlier. Relevant cost. Okay, now if you want to do this audit P, then what will happen? You require the services of one chartered accountant. You require 10 article staff. Okay, then you require 3 audit staff. Okay, so total you require 14 staffs for executing a particular audit P. Now suppose if these 14 staffs were not employed for this audit P, then there is some other audit X, okay, for which you could have used. Now if you are using these 14 staffs for audit P, then you cannot take audit X because you don't have sufficient labor or sufficient staff. You have only 14 staffs in your office, so you have to take either audit P or you need to take audit X. If you are taking audit P, then you cannot do audit X. Okay, now if you are doing audit X, then you would have received a net benefit, means revenue minus cost, of let us say 5 lakhs rupees. Is it clear? You would have received a net benefit of rupees 5 lakhs rupees, which means if you are doing audit P, then you are not able to get or do audit X, and you are not able to realize a net benefit of 5 lakhs, which means this net benefit you are foregoing by taking this what? Audit P. So such benefit you have foregone from the opportunity loss. What is the opportunity lost? You are not able to do audit X. So audit X is the opportunity lost. So the net benefit you foregone from the opportunity you have lost or you have foregone is an opportunity cost of what? Of audit P. Which means when you compute the relevant cost of audit P, it should also include the opportunity cost of this 5 lakhs rupees. Is it clear? That is the concept of opportunity cost. Okay, so opportunity cost is the cost of opportunity foregone. Cost of opportunity foregone. Is it clear? And opportunity foregone, opportunity cost is always a relevant cost. Okay, in the previous example, what is your opportunity cost? It's 5 lakhs. Now forget about everything. Now if the benefit you are getting from audit P is not even that 5 lakhs, can you take this audit P? No, Because if you are taking audit P, you should get some return which is more, some benefit which is more than what audit X. Because audit X guarantees you 5 lakhs rupees net benefit. So here you should get at least 5 lakhs rupees. Am I right? If you are getting only 4 lakhs, then why do you take audit P? Better you go for audit X itself. Clear? So opportunity cost is always a relevant cost. Okay. Next, note. Sometimes certain decisions may result in opportunity gains also. Any opportunity gain, any opportunity gain is a relevant cost, or in bracket you can write gain. Okay, it is also a relevant cost. Relevant cost means negative relevant cost. Okay, now what do you mean by an opportunity gain? I will give you an example. Okay, now you are going to manufacture P. For manufacturing P, you are looking for manufacturing 1000 units of P. Okay, as a special order. You want to find out the relevant cost of this P. Okay, now for manufacturing 1000 units of P, you require 1000 kgs of material X. It is some chemical. Okay, for 1000 units, you require 1000 kgs of material X. And material X was purchased last year at rupees 10 per kg. 10 per kg. Okay, so total purchase cost rupees 10,000. Now what's happening is, this material X you have purchased last year, which is already there in your stock. If you are manufacturing P, you can use this material X. It is readily available. So the purchase cost, is it a relevant cost? No, it is not a relevant cost. Why it is not a relevant cost? It is a sunk cost. You have already incurred. Now, what if you are not manufacturing P? What if you are not manufacturing P? This material X will lie in your godown. Okay, when this material X lies in your godown, you have to see if there is any alternative use for this material X. Can you use this material X for some other work? No, no way, you can't use it. Can you sell it in the market? No, you can't sell it. It is some chemical, you can't sell it. Then what is the way out you can do? You have to dispose it off. If you are not using it for manufacturing P, it should be dispose it off. Okay, how it is to be disposed? It is a chemical. So to dispose of this chemical, there are some guidelines. You need to follow those guidelines, and for that you will incur a cost of, let us say, 20,000. See, there are 1000 kgs of this product. If you want to dispose it off as a chemical, you require 20,000 rupees cost. Now, if you are manufacturing P, do you have to dispose it off? No, you don't have to dispose it off, because you can use it here. Okay, so if you are using this material X for material P, on one hand there is no cost, there is no relevant cost. Okay, on the other hand, there is a cost which you are saving by using material X for P, and that is what is known as the opportunity gain. Okay, so the disposal cost saved by using X for the manufacture of P, it is a relevant gain, or it is a opportunity gain. Is it clear? It is an example. Okay, so these are the main principles which you need to understand with respect to short-term decisions. Okay, so always long-term decisions are analyzed using total cost approach. whereas short-term decisions are always analyzed with relevant cost approach. Okay. Now, in case of relevant cost, what do you mean by relevant cost? A relevant cost is any future cost which changes between the alternatives. So, as a corollary, you can say that any past cost is not a relevant cost. Any future cost which does not change between the alternatives being evaluated is also not a relevant cost. Okay, right. Now, an opportunity cost or opportunity gain will always be a relevant cost or relevant gain for any decision. Is it clear? Yes. Now, what you have to do, you have to move to the textbook. Okay, you have to go to the decision, the questions which are, I mean, the topics which are included in your study material. Okay, so I will take the study material here. In study material, there are two. This chapter 6 has got two parts. One is the special cases, which we will discuss towards the end. Okay, then second part is all about the short run decision making. Okay, and I told you the characteristics of this short run decision making. Okay, characteristics of short run decision making is what they have given here. Okay, you can see that it is based on relevant cost. That is what we saw just now. Okay, then referred to as tactical decisions. Okay, what do you mean by tactical decisions? There are two types of decisions in a business. One is strategic decisions and the other is tactical decision. Strategic decisions, generally we refer to a long run decisions or decisions which has got a long term impact. Okay, because it is something associated with your strategy. Okay, you are fixing a price of your product for 2 years, it is a strategic decision, or for 1 year full, it is a strategic decision. But if you are pricing your product for a 1 month where there is complete disruption due to COVID, it is not a strategic decision, it is only a tactical decision which you are taking only for a short term. Is it clear? Now, such short-term decisions involves choosing among alternatives. You have alternative 1, you have alternative number 2. You are selecting between these two alternatives. It is a short-term decision. Okay, then yes, often have long-run consequences. It's very important. I will come to that later. Okay, then next, immediate for limited time period. Okay, so this is any short-term decision will be an immediate, but it will have an effect only for a limited time frame. It will last for say 1 week, 1 month, like that. If COVID is going to exist for say 3 years, and the same pricing method you have to follow for 3 years, then it becomes altogether a different scenario. It will be a long-term decision where you will have to consider the entire cost you are going to incur. Otherwise, what will happen? You will make continuous losses for all these 3 years, which is not acceptable. Am I right? Okay. Now, next, small scale actions that serve a larger purpose. Okay. So this will be small actions only because this is only for a limited period. These are the characteristics. Okay. Now, here is the point. Often have longer run consequences. See, when you take short-term decisions, don't think that it is going to have a short-term impact only. No. Sometimes it may have a long-run consequence also, which also you should consider when you take a decision for short-run. Okay. Say for example, once you have reduced the price for a particular product, can you increase it after 3 months? You have to see. You have to see. Now yesterday I told you, due to this COVID issues, the prices of all electronics items have gone up by at least by 20 to 30%. Okay, it's a fact. But do you think that once the COVID issues are over, you think that these manufacturers, electronic manufacturers, they are going to reduce the price? May not. Okay, because once they have increased, it will continue. Same thing with the petrol. When the petrol prices were raised initially, there was some issue the country was facing, and due to which only they increased the price. Then after that issue is over, did it come down? No. So some decision which you are taking, it may be for a short run only, but sometimes such decisions may have a long run consequences also. Is it clear? Okay, so which means even though it is a short run decision, you should take it carefully. Okay, right. Now the specifications I told you. Yeah, the relevant cost, the meaning of relevant cost is so for a cost to be a relevant cost, the decision relevant to a decision, it must be a future cost. Then it should be a differential cost. What do you mean by differential cost? This cost is a cost which changes between the alternatives. Is it clear? So it should change between the alternatives. This is something which we saw, right? So I'm moving to the next. Okay, right. Before coming to the problems, I need to, yeah. Okay, you can take page number 6.13. In that, illustration is there. Please take the illustration given in page number 6.13 and read the illustration. Okay, so we will read the question here. What is given here? Recently, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, along with Drug Control Department, have come hard on healthcare centers for charging exorbitant fees from their patients. Okay, so the regulatory body for this medical centers or health centers, they have come hard, and they are coming hard on these centers for charging high fees from their patients. Okay, Human Healthcare Limited (HHCL), it's a leading integrated healthcare delivery provider company, okay, is feeling the pinch of measures taken by the authorities and facing margin pressures due to this. So what's happening is the company HHCL is finding it very difficult on the part of margin, because the margins has been reduced drastically, because what's happening, the authorities have put a ban or put a lot of control on charging exorbitant fees. So the company is not able to charge high fees from the patients, due to which the margin got affected or reduced. Okay, then going further, HSCL is operating in a competitive environment, so it is difficult to increase the patient numbers also. When the margins goes down, the only way to sustain is to increase the volume. But the problem is this company is in a highly competitive environment and the company does not find any avenues for increasing the volume also. So increasing the volume itself is not a good measure. The management consultant of the company has come out with some plan for cost control and cost reduction. Yes, of course, whenever there is a problem, there will be a management consultant. The management consultant has solution for this problem also. What does he say? HSCL provides treatment under package system where the fees is charged irrespective of the days a patient stays in a hospital. That means all the patients are charged on the basis of package system. Package system means it is the total charge for that particular activity, or it includes the charges for the procedures done. If there is any surgery, the surgery cost, or if there is any other treatment or any activity like accommodation, food, and everything is taken consider under this package. Okay, so in package, the rate is not fixed based on the number of days for which the patient is going to stay in the hospital. Okay, now going further, what he is saying, irrespective of where fees is charged, irrespective of days the patient stays in the hospital, the consultant has estimated 2.5 patient days per patient. Yes. So presently, the patient stay is 2.5 days, patient days per patient. That means on an average, a patient stays for 2.5 days in the hospital. Okay. He wants to reduce it to 2 days. Instead of 2.5 days, he wants to reduce the average to 2 days. By doing this, the consultant has targeted general variable cost of 500, has targeted the general variable cost of rupees 500 per patient day. Okay, what's happening here? If when you reduce the patient stay, average patient stay from 2.5 to 2 days per patient, what will happen? The general variable cost will come down, because variable cost depends upon the number of patient days. So when there is a reduction in the number of patient days, what will happen? The general variable cost, which is estimated to be rupees 500 per patient day, will come down. Okay, so the savings will be rupees 500 per patient day. Annually, 15,000 patients visit to the hospital for treatment. Okay, so the number of days saved will be 15,000 into 0.5. Is it clear? Now, the medical superintendent has some concerns. Now, this proposal was put forward by whom? Consultant. Consultant does not know anything about the ethics or anything. He just know that if you do this, your profits are likely to go up. Okay, but the medical superintendent has come out with the concerns that concerns with that of the consultant plan. According to him, reducing the patient stay would be detrimental to the full recovery of the patient. Okay, why currently the patient stay is 2.5? It is not because the hospital wants the patients to stay longer in their hospital. No, they will discharge the patient only after full recovery. Okay, now if they are sent back before the full recovery, then that is going to affect the patient. Okay, so in that case, what will happen? They would come again for admission, thereby increasing the current readmission rate from 3 to 5. Now, once the patients are discharged, out of that only 3% needs to be readmitted due to any other complications. But now if the hospital is going to implement the new system of reducing the average patient stay from 2.5 to 2, then the current readmission rate of 3% will increase to 5%, which means more number of patients will have to be readmitted. It means readmitting 3,000 or 300 additional patients. How 300? 15,000 is the total number of patients visiting. Of that 500, the 5% will be how much? 5% will be 1,500, 750. Okay, now 750 will come here, and 3% of 15,000 will be how much? 3% will be 450. Okay, so 450 and 750 difference is 300 additional patients. I will show that. Okay, then company has to spend 25 lakhs more to accommodate this increase in readmission. Yes, the company has to spend more to accommodate this additional number of patients. But the consultant has found it to be a bless in disguise. He said that every readmission is treated as a new admission. So it would result in additional cash flow of rupees 4,500 per patient in the form of admission fee. Yes, the medical superintendent says that no, we can't do that because the number of readmissions will go up. So naturally, the company will have to spend 25 lakhs additional to accommodate this additional staff. But what the consultant says, that is okay, that is good for the company, because whenever there is a readmission, it will be taken as a fresh admission, and you are going to get rupees 4,500 per patient. Okay. Now calculate the impact of the management consultant's plan on the profit of the company. Okay. So calculation of the impact. Okay. How do you compute the impact? We can write. In this question, we are asked to evaluate the proposal. In this question, we are asked to evaluate the proposal put forward by the management consultant. Put forward by the management consultant. Put forward by the management consultant. The proposal aims at reducing the average number of patient days. Reducing the average number of patient days as a measure for reducing the overall cost. Reducing the overall cost. Also, reducing the overall cost. Also, it will result in additional income to the hospital. Additional income and additional expense to the hospital. Additional income and additional expense to the hospital. Okay. Now you can write cost benefit analysis. Cost benefit analysis. Okay. What are you doing in cost benefit analysis? Okay, you will have to take the cost and benefit one by one. Okay. Now cost. What is the additional cost due to this proposal? The additional cost is, you have a 25 lakhs additional cost in terms of readmission. Okay, so you can write increased cost due to readmission. It is 25 lakhs. Since it is a cost, I am putting it as negative. Okay, then this is a cost. Then what is the benefit? Benefit, savings in general variable cost. What is the likely savings? They say that there will be 15,000 patients, and reduction in patient day is 0.5 patient days. Okay, then what is the cost per day? It is rupees 500 per patient day. Okay. So that means it is 15,000 into 0.5. You can say 7,500 patient days. Am I right? Into 500. It will be 37,50,000. Okay, that is 37,50,000. Now what happens? There is increase in revenue due to readmission. What is the increase in revenue due to readmission? It is 300 patients will come. Okay, and per patient, what is the cost? Rupees 4,500 will be the cost to the patient. So 300 into 4,500 will give you 13,50,000. 13,50,000. Therefore, incremental benefit. Twenty-five plus 25 minus 37 point plus 13.5. They say that you have a benefit of 37.5 plus 26 lakhs. Okay, so what is your comment on this? What you can say? What is the question here? Question is to calculate the impact of management on the profit of the company. Also comment on the result and other factors that should be kept in mind before taking any decisions. Okay, so purely from financial perspective, the profits will go up by 26 lakhs. Okay, so you can write implementation of the above proposal will increase the profit of the entity or the company by rupees 26 lakhs. Okay, now what next? Other factors to be considered. What are the other factors to be considered? See, the one of the major factor is, it is mentioned in the question itself. They said that if you are going to reduce the average patient day to 2, then there will be issues with the health issues to the patients. Okay, which may be affecting the reputation of the hospital on one side. Second side, it can also invite medical legal issues. So that is the basic point to be considered. By doing such a reduction in the patient day, all the patients will, the patients somehow, at least some of the patients will have to be discharged without getting full recovery, who may come back to the hospital, and there could be readmissions and procedures to be done again, which may impact the reputation of the company, brand value of the company, and also the company may be liable for medical legal cases. Okay, so other factors to be considered. We can write, though the above decision will be profitable purely from financial perspective, being a healthcare provider, HHCL should consider other factors also. Okay, as a responsible medical service provider, the company is bound by the medical ethics. Bound by the medical ethics. This proposal require discharging the patients even without the full recovery. Okay, this is against the medical ethics and also adversely affect the health of some of the patients. Okay, this will badly affect the brand image and reputation of the company, which is very much harmful for a hospital from future revenue perspective also. Further, such an action may also invite medico-legal disputes and actions against the hospital, against the company. Okay, therefore, any decision, on this ground, should be taken only after considering all the above qualitative factors. Also. Is it clear? Okay. Now going further, types of short-run decision making. I think that is in next page. Okay. Some application of CVP analysis. Okay. Yeah. Please write. Types of short-run decisions. Okay.